What's up, YouTube? Jeff, your Style O.G. And on today's video, we're going to discuss 11 traits of weak men that women hate. If you're new to the channel, release a new video every Monday, Thursday, and Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern, discussing various men's lifestyle topics such as style, grooming, and dating. I invite you to subscribe, tap that notification bell, and join us. And to my returning friends like Ronald Jules, salute. Now, naturally, as men, we want to possess and exhibit traits that indicate self-confidence and strength. But oftentimes, men can fall short and have and exhibit traits that are just the exact opposite. I'm talking about traits of weak men. And having these traits will definitely set you back with the ladies. And that's what we're going to talk about on today's video. On today's video, I'm going to go over 11 traits you often see in weak men and how they can wreak havoc with the ladies. So without any further delay, let's hop right into it. Now, without a doubt, this first trait will definitely set a guy back when it comes to the women. That's having a lack of drive or ambition. Now, here's a little secret I want to let you in on. You don't have to be successful to get women, but you must be on the path to success and be able to show you're on that path. And having a lack of drive or ambition shows exactly the opposite. No one wants to be around a guy who's laying on the couch doing nothing with his life. And that's the great thing about it. You don't already have to be at the finish line. Just be working your way towards it. When you're in a relationship with a good woman, she naturally wants to follow you. But if you're not driving anywhere, how can she? So if you want to be seen as a weak man to the ladies, have a lack of drive or ambition. Next up is a trait, if you exhibit it, especially over the long term, it's going to turn a woman off. Do not be the guy who lets women, even your woman, run over you. Here's where a lot of so-called nice guys get things confused. They think if they always say yes, it'll please the woman. Here's the dirty little secret. She may take advantage of that over niceness, but she won't respect you. I need you to think about this. What a woman sees when you let her run over you, she thinks, if he can't stand up to me, how can he protect himself and stand up against other people out in the outside world? This comes off as extremely weak. And if you're with a woman who sticks around even though you let her run over you, she's just taking advantage of you. She doesn't respect you. If you don't stand up for yourself, a woman will be turned off, even if she takes advantage of it. Now, next up is a characteristic of weak men that women definitely can't stand. Are you the guy who's always blaming everybody else? The super complaining, it's always somebody else's fault, I'm in this position because of what somebody else did to me? Nobody wants to hear that, especially women. Nobody likes a person that doesn't take accountability. I don't care what position you've been in or what you've been through, it wasn't always everybody else's fault. Or even if you've been in some difficult situations and life has dealt you a bad hand, what are you gonna do about it? A man has to take his bumps and bruises and move forward. But if you're sitting around, woe is me, blaming the rest of the world, it gets you nowhere, both in life or with the ladies. Now, next up is the guy you definitely don't wanna be. Don't be the guy who doesn't have a life of his own. Yes, when you're in a relationship with a woman or dating someone, she wants your attention, just not all of it. There's nothing more annoying than the super clingy guy that has nothing else going on. There's a cliche I'm sure you've heard that absence makes the heart grow fonder. Do your own thing. Give each other a chance to miss one another. If you're all up under her, naturally she's gonna wonder, how does he have time to achieve his purpose in life? She needs to have her thing, you need to have your thing. One of the worst characteristics of a weak man, the super clingy, not having a life of his own guy. Next up is a trait I definitely want you to pay attention to and make sure it's not one you're exhibiting. Are you the man who's always avoiding conflict? Now, this can be a huge problem in any facet of your life. People will run over you. But also what a woman will see in a guy who's never offended and never stands up in a conflict, if you can't stand up for yourself, how are you going to protect her and your future family? Trust me, this is encoded in a woman's DNA. If you can't protect yourself, she's not going to feel protected. She's not going to want to follow you. So don't make another nice guy mistake. Always wanting to please everybody, not wanting to offend anyone else, and not showing when you're offended. There's going to be times in your life when there's conflict and you need to address it. Want to exhibit a characteristic that definitely turns women off? Never get offended and always avoid conflict. Now, if you were to poll a bunch of women, I guarantee you, if you ask them something that gets on the nerves about men, especially when they first meet them, a guy who's indecisive. All people, including women you might be dating, like a man who can make decisions, who can take charge. Being indecisive is a good indicator of weakness. Let me give you one scenario that the women definitely hate. Say you meet a woman, you call her up and you want to ask her out on a date. You're asking her, what do you want to do? I don't know, what do you want to do? Trust me, if you keep that up, you won't be getting lucky. So instead, do what I recommend. You make a decision, make a plan, call her, tell her about the plan, and tell her you'd like her to join you. She will love this. Women love men who can make a decision. In that scenario, in any other circumstance. But if you want to be the exact opposite and have the women running, be a guy who's indecisive. Now here's a characteristic of a weak man you might not even realize. Women do not like a guy who falls in love every 6 months. You cannot be the sucker for love guy. Yes, we all fall in love, just not twice a year. And what this indicates to a woman, she's gonna think, yeah, he might be really into me, but he's into every girl he meets. And that includes being overly in love with her before the time is right. She's not gonna like that. Let the relationship develop organically. Nobody falls in love every season. If you have a history of, or you fall in love with her in 2 days, it's gonna turn her off. Now, next up is a topic I often warn you guys about on this channel, and it applies today. Do not be the guy who needs too much outside validation. And I'm talking about whether it's friends, family, or in a relationship. Women don't like this. Always needing outside validation is an indicator of low self-esteem and no confidence. Women like confidence, not the opposite of it. And whether we're talking about dating or in life in general, I need you to understand, you should weigh your own self-validation way more than you do outside validation. Acknowledge and develop your strengths. Know your weaknesses, but don't lean on them. Yes, we all seek some form of outside validation, but it shouldn't weigh nearly as much as your own self-validation does. If you're always seeking the approval of your friends, family, or outside people, it will turn the ladies off. Now, one of the things that definitely can indicate a weak man is the guy in a relationship who lets the woman do all the hard work, or all of the work in general. Here's what I mean. When there's a problem that needs to be solved, you always leave it to her. When there's a conflict, you step to the back and let her handle it. You know what this indicates? Laziness and a lack of competence. Yes, in a relationship, you guys should share the workload. You should share burdens. But I need you to understand, men are looked at as being problem solvers. That's part of your job. Yes, there's gonna be situations where she has a better knowledge base and she's stronger in it. Follow at those times. But if you're always falling back, letting her resolve conflicts and let her do all the work, you're on a quick road to making her not like you. Now, next up is a characteristic that can be exhibited by strong men and weak men alike. Women do not like guys who hide their true feelings. One of the things women do not want to do, she does not want to guess. She doesn't want to be a mind reader. You have to be able to share your true feelings with her. And I'm talking about the full range of emotions or feelings that you have. Yes, we're men. Yes, we're different than women, but we still have emotions. And you need to share them with your significant other. And I'm talking both good and bad. Things you like, things you might not like. Where you see the relationship headed, and what kind of relationship you actually want to have. Is it just casual? Do you want to be serious? Yes, you want to exhibit strength, but don't get it confused. Hiding your true feelings makes you weak. But now I need to warn you about going to the opposite end of the spectrum. You know something women actually hate as well? A man who's overly emotional. Now, you often used to hear women like a guy that's sensitive. A little bit. Mostly they want you to be sensitive to their feelings. Always crying about your feelings? Not so good. You need to be able to talk about your emotions, but not wear them on your sleeve. Yes, men cry too, but you only get permission to cry twice a year. An extra time if your grandma dies. But in all seriousness, yes, you can share your emotions, but a woman doesn't want an overly sensitive guy or a guy who gets angry very easily as well. Both show a guy who, yes, has emotions, but can be controlled by them. Yes, you need to be able to communicate your feelings effectively, but don't be overly emotional. Now, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, as men, we all want to exhibit traits of self-confidence and strength. but there are traits that can be exhibited that indicate a weak man. But I believe if you pay attention to the traits we talked about on today's video and work on reducing or eliminating them, you'll be well on your way of possessing and exhibiting the traits of a strong man. Now, as always, I'd love to have your input. Let me know in the comment section, what did I get right, what did I get wrong, and what did I leave out?